Christ, this looks more wrecked up than Arizona after a heat wave. Toucher, can you please check if there's any signs of life? Just to be safe.
Already done. There are only 2 individuals ahead of us. One is severely weakened. They're a few feet away.
Alright, let's go.
Later.
Pathetic. Oh well, at least it got the attention of the other lanterns. But now, it's time to end this. For hearts long lost and full of fright, for those alone in blackest night, accept your defeat, you lost our fight. Beware my power, a violent light.
There he is!
Oh look, the Red Lantern has arrived. How's that you're actually doing, by the way?
So you're the one that sent him. What do you want with that Green Lantern?
Oh, you mean Andrew Green? Regardless, it looks like my plan will have to wait. After all, 4-on-1 is no fair. Besides, this bitch looks like he'll collapse at any minute from using all his power. Farewell.
How did he... That doesn't matter right now. Let's get this handy fellow medical attention.
There's no hospitals nearby. We'll have to use our medical room for it.
Okay, let's gotta move on then. Time is of the essence.
Later.
So, that was a thing. Oh, right, the review. Back in December of last year, I reviewed Volume 1 of Rooster Teeth's show, RWBY. Since then, I have seen Volume 2 to completion, and also saw the last half of Volume 3. So now that I've seen Volume 2 to completion, and since I hate leaving things unfinished, let's take a look at RWBY's second volume. So, what's the plot of this volume? Well, after the events of Volume 1, Team RWBY decides to try and investigate the meaning behind the dust thefts, as well as trying to stop the White Fang, Roman, and the newly introduced villain, Cinderfall, from succeeding in their evil schemes. While that's going on, we also get introduced to several new characters, both good and evil. Some examples include the previously mentioned Cinderfall, who's basically Roman's boss, Neptune, who's Sun Wukong's friend and also has a thing for Wise, and General James Ironwood, who not only commands the military, but is also the headmaster of an academy in Atlas, located in the northern region of the world RWBY takes place in. There are also other events going on in Volume 2, such as a formal dance, the team's first mission, Yang helping Blake and also stating her mission is to find her mother, a big fight in the city of Beacon, etc. But in the end, they defeat a lot of Grimm, Roman gets imprisoned, and Yang finds her mother Raven Bronwyn in an after-credits scene.
I'm here to talk to you about the Avenger Initiative.
And one that never gets followed up on.
God damn it. Anyways, as a story, it's pretty good. Sure, the main plot of stopping the bad guys is basic, but it's the subplots that make the story structure strong in my opinion. But before I delve into that, I want to touch on one thing I felt was a problem in Volume 1, but was fixed in this volume. The length and pacing. With Volume 1, some episodes were less than 10 minutes long and were also multi-parters. Now watching them in bulk, that's not a big deal since you can just go to the next episode and continue on. But when that volume first came out, these episodes were released once a week, so the sort of rushed pacing and length was a problem for those viewing this weekly. But now, each episode is about 12 minutes minimum, which allows for a slower pace, but also allows more development for the characters, as well as more time for world building. Speaking of which, let's talk about the subplots involving character development and or character growth. The first one that comes to mind is Weiss. With Volume 1, Weiss, while not my least favorite character, was one that I didn't particularly care for. With Volume 2, however, that changed. We got to find out more about her past, her motivation for becoming a huntress, her relationship with other characters, we found out about her sister and father and what she thinks of her father, and you know what? I started to like this character more after finding out these little tidbits. Sure, it's not much character development, but expanding on a character previously introduced is not a bad thing either, because now that we know more about this character, it opens up a lot of potential character arcs that could also lead to character development later down the line. So, yeah, I like Weiss now.
So does that mean she's better than Blake?
No, Blake is still best waifu. Speaking of Blake, though, I also thought she was good in this arc. We find out her reasons for becoming a huntress, we get a nice scene with her and Yang, we also get a nice scene with her and Wukong at the dance, and we also find out her past with Ozpin, as well as her past with a character named Adam Taurus. Overall, I like the character arc Blake went through. It was pretty good. RWBY didn't get much in terms of development, but still, she had good chemistry with her team as well as funny moments with other characters, and she was still relevant to the plot. Now on to Yang, and this was a surprise for me. When I talked about her in Volume 1, I didn't particularly like her, but now, she's a lot better. She has an interesting motivation for becoming a huntress, we find out about her past, and that was pretty interesting. And she has good chemistry with the characters she interacts with. Overall, this volume made me care about Yang as a character, and if it can do that, I gotta give it credit because I really didn't like her in Volume 1. As for our side characters, they're also pretty good. Team Juniper have some interesting moments. A couple of my favorite moments with them were the shipping scenes and the dance scene. And we also get to see more teams in action this time around, such as Team Coffee, whose leader has a suitcase as a weapon? Okay, that's... the most awesome thing I have seen! As for our villains, we got Emerald and Mercury, who have good chemistry and interesting personalities. Roman's boss, Cinderfall, who really doesn't do much in this volume aside from her fight with Ruby in episode 7, but is okay personality-wise. And Roman, who I still find funny as well as threatening at points, and he's still probably my favorite antagonist of the volumes. As for Neo, well, aside from her fight with Yang, there's not much else to her character. Still, that was a good action scene. But speaking of action, let's talk about another improved aspect of Volume 2. The animation. Sure, the style of animation can still potentially be a turnoff for some people, but aside from that, the animation in this volume is much more refined than Volume 1's animation. Largely because they have more experience with the program now, but I digress. The lighting and coloring is much better, the effects look a lot better, the backgrounds look a lot better. Hell, they even fixed up a minor issue in Volume 1 where some of the background characters in scenes such as the city were literally black silhouettes. Now, these silhouettes look like goddamn people. But that's it for animation. As for the music, I find the music in this volume is just as good as the music in Volume 1, if not better at points. With Volume 1, my favorite songs were the intro and some of the character theme songs, but in Volume 2, we have the new intro song, Time to Say Goodbye, which I feel is much better than Volume 1's opening because I find it catchier, had a better tempo and rhythm, good lyrics, and overall more energy than This Will Be the Day. Other songs I liked were Die for its lyrics and rhythm, Caffeine for its catchy beat, great guitar use, and catchy lyrics, and Shine because of its rhythm, lyrics, and overall catchy feel. No joke, Jeff Williams and Casey Williams really stepped up the game here when it came to the music department. Good job. The voice acting is also a lot better than Volume 1. Our main leads turn in good performances, but even the minor and side characters turn in performances I would classify as decent at worst, great at best. Some examples include Cinder's gang, Neptune, Ironwood, and Adam Taurus. This would also be the last volume where Liren was voiced by series creator Monty before his tragic passing in 2015. After that point, Neethum, Monty's brother, took over the role. But that's about it. There weren't really a lot of flaws I could find with Volume 2 as I did with Volume 1, and I could list other things I liked about Volume 2, such as the references to Rooster Teeth's other works, the scenes with Zwei, etc., but I think you get the point. Overall, I think Volume 2 of RWBY is much better than the first volume, and I highly recommend watching it. Besides, after this volume, we would see firsthand what happens to the mostly lighthearted tone of RWBY when it falls. I am not looking forward to reviewing that volume. Until then, I'm David Grimm, and next week, it's Manaphy's movie.